Hey, good morning. Today's discussion is going to be about the sales process. Well, I tell you, things are pretty bad. You know what's bad? I went on the internet, and Mozilla, Google, and even Edge, the old Microsoft Explorer, nobody had anything really to cover the industrial sales process. There's all these sales processes for consumers, but regarding something for industrial sales, it ain't there. I was pretty distraught. Nor could I find any information the young salesperson could use to try to find out how to improve his or herself on that matter. So anyway, we go back a little bit to how it's always been and go from there. You get the lead. This is a sales process. Let marketing worry about getting a lead. We'll cover what to do when there is no leads, but forget about the lead until, assume that you've got it. What you're going to do is make your first connection with the prospect. And it's going to be on the telephone, maybe email, but eventually you're going to get on the phone and you're going to qualify it. First of all, you got to ask yourself, who is this guy? Is he just some low-level guy that's tasked to collect all the data and research so he can present it to the committee for your capital equipment? Or is he a guy in charge of the committee himself and he knows what he's doing on this aspect? Does he have any skin in the game? That's pretty critical as well. The next thing you have to do is find out what he thinks he needs, and there's a big difference between what he needs and what he thinks he needs. And that's where the tools of being a salesman come into effect on that. Find out, this is critical. Find out if this is a funded project. I mean, is this guy a tire kicker, or does he have the bucks? Does he have an immediacy? Does he have a need for the product? How is he doing the job now? I mean, he's not a vacuum. Obviously, he's in an established business. So whatever the capital piece of equipment is, say it's a machine they don't have. So he's doing the initial research. That's where your value comes in big time, because you're going to show him and lead him through the process and make him think about things he hasn't thought about because he's never purchased this kind of equipment before. That's why your value as a salesperson, a professional, experienced salesperson, is irreplaceable. Again, the timeline and how important is delivery. That's another indicator on his intent to buy. And you flat out ask him, is it a funded project? Are you in the research mode, or what's the timeline on here? Okay, so this initially. Hello, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Fine, you got a time set up to meet. And the sooner the better, obviously. And that's step one. And you're good, because you got to first base on this one, or at least right now. You want to prepare for the sales meeting with the customer. And when you're preparing, I'll tell you one tip. You prepare like this is the corporate job interview that you want. You want this job. It's in a Fortune 50 company. You want this job bad. So what are you going to do? You're going to research it. You're going to know everything it is about the job, about the company you're going to work for, what they specialize in, maybe a news release. You're also going to do social media. Get on their Facebook post and see what's going on. And you'll have a good indication from that as well with the employee input. But you're going to do the research on this matter, and that's going to separate you from somebody else just going through the motions in the sales process. Okay, so you get to that point. We're talking about the first meeting. And the first meeting is, in your mind, prepare for the first meeting like you are, in fact, meeting your fiance's parents for the first time. And that's a serious thought on that. You're not here to sell yourself 100%. You're just here to show him you don't have 3 eyes and 4 ears, and you can articulate a sentence halfway decent. Your point is you want to find out and take a tour and narrow down what's going on. For him, his point is he doesn't want to be embarrassed by the people he invites in for this project because he's got a lot to lose too. His reputation's on the line. He asked you to be there. So with that, some of my rules are no one buys $100,000 machines from a guy in a golf shirt. So don't show up with a golf shirt. Don't show up in wedding singer clothes. Don't show up smelling like a brewery. You think you're laughing. Don't show up if you smell like weed. Like Cheech and Chong just gave you a ride there. People do this, believe it or not, and it's stupidity in itself. They don't last long in sales for obvious reasons, and I sure as hell wouldn't put up with it. So that's some of the don'ts on there. When you get there, you need to confirm what the customer really needs. Don't tell them, don't insult them, saying, well, you're stupid for not going with this, this, and this. Don't do that. God gave you 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Use your mouth very little because it's not going to do any good for you to open your mouth and talk about things you don't know. It just shows your stupidity. So be cool with that. Again, you're meeting the fiance's parents, so don't blow it. And don't let them pull their daughter aside and say, are you nuts? This guy's a total loser. No, you don't want to do that. You do want to narrow down a little bit and try to focus in on who's going to okay this purchase. Is it going to be this guy? Is it going to be a committee? Is it going to be the owner? And try to identify the key players in this. You don't have to meet them all, but try to get a better sense on that aspect of it. Okay, the biggest thing you can do while you're there is if this guy is the ultimate purchasing guy that will recommend to the owner, committee, or whatever it might be, is this thing... Yeah, I think it's falling down a little bit. So yeah, you got to identify where this guy's coming from. If he is in fact a key player in a decision-making process, you got to find out where he's at. Is he doing this because it's a corporate mission? He's been assigned to carry that corporate football and to the goal post and score a big one. It could be a big career move for him if that's a fact. The other aspect of it is, and you got to know about the competition as well. When you're talking to him, find out how many of the competitors' products he has now. If this is a guy that's got 15 Mazak machining centers and you're there from Morisiki trying to break in there, that account, that's a cultural problem. It's a corporate culture problem. I don't think you're going to make too much headway on that. And just realize the gains versus the losses as far as your time and effort put into this particular project. One thing I'd like to bring up is there is a possibility the buyer may be a woman, and this is another dimension. One thing you do not talk about in sales is politics or religion, and this other politically sensitive subjects. But I will say that women threw in another dimension when it comes to purchasing. Typically, it's like you're talking to a person that's just graduated with honors from Price Negotiation 101. She is good. Expect to get beat up. Expect all the questions to be asked. This is not going to be an easy process on that. And if you're coming in with a brand new product and she's already got 4 or 5 other successfully installed competitive products, I don't think you'll be able to tell her the features and benefits to the point to overcome the risk factor. She wants the safe bet. She wants a safe installation. No purchasing person is going to put their life on the line or career on the line buying your product just to be a hero because they personally believe it's the best product. That just is not how people act in the corporate world. All right, that's set aside. Next is a plant tour. Don't forget, if it's going to be a plant tour, if you have to, bring your safety shoes. Always have your safety glasses, maybe earplugs, maybe a hard hat. But it really depends on that. I think this microphone is actually falling down, down, down. Have to do the tighten up here. Oop. So, anyway, went in there, asked for the CAD, asked what kind of CAD he has. Obviously, we're in the industrial age. Also, a part print and a part. Depends on what you're selling. This is more or less geared for production machinery, machine tools, measurement equipment, that kind of thing. With that said, you know, all the other sales process websites out there say you go, you meet the customer. The next thing is you have a proposal, you present the proposal, and then you close the order. Right, yeah, it's not that simple. Not in technical sales, not in industrial sales. This will just give you an idea, a flavor for what is required out there on just a typical machine tool sale. You're not going to buy a machine tool until it's proven and run off to the capabilities that you want it to produce the part. Perform 20-hour dry run on the equipment. Validate any errors, proofing. Obtain safety approval of the equipment. Verify the interlock and the light curtain operate within the safety standards. There's a whole bunch of OSHA requirements there. Then the good news for you guys is the fact that you've got a whole support team back at the factory to help you with this stuff. Demonstrate changeover times that are required per the existing manufacturing plan. Primary parts going through the process should be verified to the specs, and that means this should consist of a minimum of 50-piece run. So you got to run 50 pieces off there. Then you got to go through an 8-hour preferred run on that to make sure the equipment's not going to seize up and break down. After that, there's acceptable PPK, which is a statistical process to validate your product. Then is the method of shipment adequate to protect the equipment? Energy control devices identified and tagged. Lockout placards, is that installed? Spare parts list available and recommended PM plans, so preventive maintenance plans. That's just a portion of some of the things you could expect on that. So after we do this, and that's depending on the complexity, it's a long process. Could take as much as a month to prepare the actual quotation. And where you present the quotation and to who is another big factor, but at some point you're going to do that. Many times with a standard canned product, you can email the quotation and follow up with a phone call, but make sure you do. But don't ever appear over anxious. Did you get the quotation okay? You got any questions? No. Send them the quotation. Within 24 hours, follow up saying, wanted to make sure you did get the quotation. We all have server problems, server issues where email don't go through. Did you get it? Great, fine. Can I check with you in a few days to after you had time to review it so we can go over the quotation on that? Oh, by the way, you got the quotation. Oh, you looked at it. Well, how do we stack up relative to the other players here? Are we in the ballpark? And flat out ask them, are we competitive? We'd like to come in and do a formal presentation if need be. You can feel around and find out where you're standing on that project. So that feedback's important on that. Chances are, hopefully, you're going to get to second base on that, and that's going to be, the actual presentation of the quote, or better yet, a demonstration of the product.